My name is Dr. Lakshmi from OBG department. My topic is assessment of fetal well-being, antenatal examination, which includes palpation and immunization in antenatal patients. The concept of antenatal fetal monitoring aims at assuring satisfactory growth and well-being of the fetus as well as the mother all throughout the pregnancy. Screening out the high-risk cases and the adverse maternal or intrauterine factors which may affect the healthy growth of the fetus. Extra care is to be taken in these cases to achieve an ultimate perinatal fetal outcome. Detecting early in pregnancy those congenital abnormalities or inborn metabolic errors which are not compatible with life or may lead to chronic ill health of the offspring. These may be eliminated by early termination of pregnancy. What are the objectives of this fetal monitoring or antenatal assessment which we do? The objectives are to screen the high risk cases, to prevent or to detect and treat at the earliest any complications, to ensure continued medical surveillance and prophylaxis, to educate mother about the physiology of pregnancy and labor by demonstration, charts and diagrams so that fear is removed and psychology is improved. To discuss with the couple about the place, time and mode of delivery and care of newborn, to motivate the couple about to the need of family planning, to give appropriate advice to the couple seeking MTP. What are the known adverse factors? Primea gravida, above 35 years, as she is an elderly primea. Pregnancy associated with medical conditions like epilepsy, hypertension, renal disease, cardiac disease, diabetes, syphilis. Clinical evidence of polyhydramnios or oligohydramnios. Previous history of stillbirth or neonatal death. History of recurrent abortion or preterm labor. Previous baby with structural defects like anencephaly and open spina bifida. Previous child with chromosomal abnormality, maternal illness during the first trimester. Now coming to the assessment. We have to assess with the maternal measures also and fetal measures also. What are the maternal measures? Firstly, it starts with the history taking examination and radiological examination, which is absolute. We never do it nowadays. So, history taking, vital statistics like name, date of first examination, LMP, gravida, is all there. Occupation, history, obstetric history, menstrual history, whatever the history you take. Then coming to the antenatal examination. First it starts with the general physical examination, build mainly, obese or average, something like that. And it can be calculated by BMI. Coming to the height, short stature. So short primaries, they are at high risk. Is likely to be associated with a small pelvis. Weight. The total weight gain is 11 kg. BMI 20 to 26 is 11 to 16 kg they can gain. If BMI is more than 29, then 7 kg. If BMI is less than 19, then 18 kg. And then it comes to the pallor, which you see, which is associated with the general medicine and jaundice. So for stomatitis and glossitis, which are the indirect indications of anemia. And neck veins, like goiter, neck veins. Then edema of legs, the site of edema over the medial malleus and surface of the lower third of the tibia. Pitting edema and varicosity also should be inspected. Then breast examination should be inspected and the site of the nipple and whether they are retracted, we have to see. And obstetrical examination is abdominal examination mainly, per abdomen. It's also called as obstetrical examination, per vaginal examination. Then the 4 grips which we do in the antenatal examination, fundal, lateral, pelvic and pollock. Last 2 grips are made to know the presentation and whether the head is engaged and whether it is flexed. Now coming to the first thing which we do is symphysiofundal height. Fundal height will be measured and it will be correlated with the weeks of the pregnancy and gestational age, by which we can see for the macrosomia, polyhydramnias, which will be increased in the height, and IUGR babies or oligohydramnias, which will show the decreased symphysiofundal height. And vaginal examination sometimes for the discharge or leaking or any bleeding, and even for the assessment if the patient is in labor, for the assessment of the labor, and even pelvic examination. And vaginal swab sometimes, that is after 37 weeks for the GRBS, and even if it is a high leak, we can send it for high vaginal swab for culture. Radiological examination are absolute nowadays, they are not done. Fetal measures. Coming to fetal measures, that is pregnancy monitoring methods can be clinical, biophysical and biochemical. So fetal measures is clinical, manures, whatever you do per abdomen. Then biochemical is the triple test. Then cytogenetics like amniocentesis, CVS, chordosynthesis and FISH. Biophysical profile, which was described earlier very nicely, that is fetal movement count is the thing from the patient side. Then NST, fetal biophysical profile, BPP, cardiotocography, contraction stress test, Doppler ultrasound. Clinical monitoring is maternal weight gain, blood pressure, fundal height, abdominal girth, assessment of size of the uterus, amniotic fluid distribution, edema of this one. Then early pregnancy is biochemical and biophysical is the late. Biochemical is whatever the routine investigations like TSH, CBC, everything you can send. On top of it, you can send this maternal serum alpha protein and triple test, especially with the NT scan. And if it is found to be negative, CVS and amniocentesis can also be sent. So this is some things about maternal serum alpha protein. It is produced by yolk sac and fetal liver and is present in the mother's blood. When MSAF is elevated, one must suspect open neural tubal defects, multiple pregnancy, anterior abdominal wall defects and renal anomalies. Low levels are found in Down syndrome and the test is done between 15 to 20 weeks. Triple test. Acetylcholinesterase normally we don't do. Triple test is done. It is a combination of biochemical test which includes maternal serum alpha fetoprotein HCG and unconjugated estradiol. It is done for the detection of Down syndrome in the affected pregnancy level of MSA AFP and UE tend to be low whereas HCG is high. It is performed in 15 to 18 weeks. Confirmation to be done by amniocentesis. Something about chorionic villus sampling. It is a diagnostic outpatient procedure and the tissue is sent for the laboratory which is collected for karyotyping. Amniocentesis is also one of the confirmatory thing. It is a diagnostic also. It's an outpatient procedure. Pocket of the amniotic fluid and they have sent. One more is the biophysical profile. It is a screening test for uteroplacental insufficiency. The fetal biophysical activities are initiated, modulated and regulated through fetal nervous system. The fetal CNS is very much sensitive to diminished oxygenation. So changes in fetal biophysical profile leads to hypoxia, which leads to metabolic acidosis and leads to CNS depression. Next is the NST, which we normally take in the labor room. Okay, it is a continuous electronic fetal monitoring of the fetal heart rate. FHR acceleration with fetal movements is good. It is used as a screening test. It should be started after 30 weeks. Reassuring is the one thing and non-reassuring. But now it is normally the thing. And this is the NST paper. Then daily fetal movement count. This is how the patient counts the fetal movements every morning, noon and evening. 3 counts each of 1 hour duration are recommended. If number of kicks are less than 10 in 12 hours or 3 in each hour, it indicates fetal compromise. Increased fetal movements associated with maternal hypoglycemia. Decreased FM causes obesity, smoking, hypoxia, anterior placenta, hydramnios and narcotic drugs. Ultrasound has been taken as a separate entity where you can measure diagnosis of pregnancy, assessment of gestational age, multiple pregnancy, IUGR, uterine size, that is whether it is macrosomia or IUGR, assessment of Leica volume and diagnosis of any abnormality. So this is the diagnosis of a twin pregnancy, and right side it is the baby with hand, foot, head and body. Amniotic fluid, umbilical vein, number 3 vessel view. Then the nuchal translucency, that is the NT, is used to provide a risk assessment in 13, 18 and 21. It is 11 to 14 weeks with CRL of 45 to 84 millimeter. Associated with the spina bifida is the banana sign, one of the lemon sign. And these are all the weeks of gestation and how much it should increase, BPD and FL and HC. Biparatal diameter, abdominal circumference. These are the things which decide the IUGR. So it can be assessed with, that's what, BPD, AC, HC and amniotic fluid volume. Average increase of BPD after 34 weeks is 1.7 millimeter per week. HC-AC ratio is also very much important. This is the Doppler. Doppler is measure the peak systolic, peak diastolic. S minus D by M is the pulsatility index, modified by a physical profile, NST, ultrasonography, and AFI. When the NST is non-reactive, AFI is less than 5, and these are the scores which parameters: the non-stress test, fetal breathing movements, gross body movements, fetal muscle tone, and amniotic fluid, each with a score of 2. So totally it is 10. So contraction stress test is based to observe the response of the fetus at risk for uteroplacental insufficiency if test is positive when late decelerations are present with onset of contractions. NST and BPP should be done when CST is positive. Indications: intrauterine growth restriction, post-maturity, hypertensive disorders of pregnancy, diabetes. Contraindications: compromised fetus, previous history of section, APH. So this is what is the summarization, assessment, maternal measure and fetal measure. That's all. Thank you.